It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Magical day to all. Welcome to Divas That Care Network. I am Joyce Benning, and I will be your host for this magical, robust lifestyle show. I would like to thank each one of our listeners that is listening to this podcast on the numerous different platforms. I am so very grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. And as I said, you are in for one magical show today, as I have with me an amazing returning diva, Susanna Kurz. And her and I are going to chat about building a network of conscious podcasts. Oh my, is this going to be exciting? So with that, Susanna, would you just introduce yourself to our listeners today?
Yes, thank you, Joyce. It's always such a pleasure to be on your podcast. And I'm returning, so some people may know me already. I'm a scholar, a coach, and a creator. So that's how I've dubbed myself, because I'm very multi-passionate and doing a lot of things. And one thing is that I've been in academia for most of my life and have done research and teaching on the cultural history of the Persianate, the Persian-speaking world in the times of Islam. Then I've gone into coaching. I'm a life coach working with hypnosis as my main tool to take people onto a trance journey to the power within, to connect with their inner guidance system and find the right way and the right resources for them in that moment. So you can't really plan it, but usually they get exactly what they need at that time when we do this discovery journey. And then I have a new branch in my business since last year. That's the Susanne Kurz coaching and media part. That's the media part. So I'm also helping mainly spiritual entrepreneurs, coaches, healers who have a little bit of a problem with tech stuff to edit their videos or images, upload on platforms, and do all that sort of stuff. Also sort out ads and things. If they have a little bit of a budget and want help with that or need help with that, I'm there for them. And the thing I want to talk to you today and introduce your listeners to, that's the IMDb thing. That's the building of a network of conscious podcasts. And I have a service for that, but I will mention that at the end, I think, when I've explained what this is all about.
Oh, Susanna, that is just awesome. You are such a true diva because you are giving back to the world to make it a better place. You're being of service to others by helping in so many different ways. Oh, I am so excited. And I'm so excited to hear about building a network of conscious podcasts. So I'm just going to let you kind of take off with this, and we will just kind of fill in, and we will share with the listeners today on what the universe wants them to hear about this.
Right. And if you have any questions, please butt in and ask them, because, I'm just going and going and going. And sometimes it's helpful to know what questions might come up. Okay. So I found that there's an option on the International Movie Database to enter podcasts. Now, that's something that's new. They have started to open up to that in 2020, so it's relatively new. And the International Movie Database originally was a list of films, of movies. And then it developed into a real database for all things movies and TV. And meanwhile, they have opened up over the last couple of years to all sorts of media. So I think they are currently aiming for becoming the central source and database for all sorts of media, audio, visual media. they are already very central and very, very important in the entertainment industry. But now that they have opened up also for all sorts of videos that you can publish on YouTube or Vimeo or platforms of that sort, and to commercials and to podcasts, I think they are really branching out. And this may become really important in the future, but everyone who does it now is an early adopter. And obviously there are benefits and advantages that come with that, but also the disadvantage that you can't really, we don't have a, we are not able to look into the future and exactly say how it's going to be. But what I've noticed is that obviously the first people who have put their podcasts on this database, which is just like an entry, you don't upload the podcast episodes, but you create an entry there with a link to your podcast and to your podcast episodes. And people can just look it up there and find it that way. Now, what I've noticed is obviously that most podcasts that are up there are somehow connected to the entertainment industry, obviously, because people who are involved in the industry have noticed that earlier. And they obviously also have a lot of guests that are already in the database. But I found that some of the conscious podcasts or the people who run them already have noticed, oh, that's another option to put up my podcast and make it known to more people, and have entered theirs. And I've also entered a couple of podcasts now for other people. And I've just started my own. I've put my YouTube series on the topic of death and beyond, which is something I think we have talked about in our very first interview. But I've put that up as a podcast now, and I'm first of all I'm putting in all the episodes that were video originally, and then once I go on, then I will have it a little bit shaped a little bit differently for the podcast. So I've entered some of the podcasts, and the really good thing about that for people who have a podcast or people who are interested in discovering more interesting podcasts is that when you enter a podcast on IMDb and you do it right, then you also enter all the guests that are on your podcast. And many people in their podcasts, just like you, interview people or have guests who speak on their podcast. So you enter all these people also. And if they have been on another podcast before and that podcast has been entered correctly, then they already have a name page, a profile. It's called a name page. And you can just link that up. If they are not up there already, you just automatically create their profile page by entering them on your podcast. So what happens then is that people who are on more than one podcast, and that's essentially something that happens often, will then have all their podcasts displayed on their profile page if they are entered correctly. So that means if you, for example, know one conscious podcast and want to discover more, and you check on IMDb and find this podcast there, and you find all the people that have been guests on this podcast and click on their names, you then can find other podcasts they have been in, which very likely are also conscious podcasts. You can check that. Maybe there are some others also, and you can find them there. And then you can just click through and find more and more that way. And it's essentially creating a network of podcasts. And my vision that developed when I started doing that, and the idea that developed, was to build actually a network of conscious podcasts on IMDb, because that's a central place where you can connect them all. Otherwise it's a bit scattered. But in this way, it's all connected, and they will all feed into each other that way. And another thing that happens is that if you have someone on your podcast who has a profile in the entertainment industry, who is an actor or director or whatever, and there are very interesting people also for us in that industry, then someone who checks them out can also find your podcast. So, for example, I have two examples for that. For example, I have a good friend, Katie Carey. She is the publisher of the book that helped me to connected me with our common friend Lydia. That's the way we got to know each other. And Katie has a podcast, and Katie is also someone who has been an actress in her teens, and she has been in a pretty big series, BBC series. So she also already had a profile on IMDb, and she was aware of that. And she actually brought me the idea to put up more conscious podcasts, because she said, I've just noticed that we can now put podcasts on IMDb. I have to figure out how to put up mine. And I said, oh, I've been on IMDb for years and have done all sorts of stuff there. And I've noticed there are some podcasts up there. Let me check if there are any requirements other than just it being a podcast. Mm-hmm. And then I did that for her. Now, if someone comes from this series, which is a bit older, but has been on BritBox US recently and has got a little bit of traction. If someone then goes to that series, likes her as an actress, checks her out, they will find her podcast. And then they will find all sorts of people who have been on her podcast, like me, for example. Mm-hmm. Or another example. So you also can attract in people who come for other things, but may be interested in the things you have to say, So that's a completely new audience that can be attracted by that. For example, I have a little TV series on my YouTube channel, which is mainly an interview series. It's called Change, and it's an interview series talking to people who have navigated major life changes. It's to inspire, and support and encourage people who go through major life changes, because they can see these people who have survived and share how they have navigated it. And I've put that on IMDb, and I have an actor on that. So far, it's one. I have an agreement with a wonderful actress to do an interview at some point. We just haven't gotten together yet, because she's in Texas and I'm in Germany, and the time difference is really huge. And she's also very busy because she has little children and a job and all that. But I think she will come on one day. And I have an actor who was in actually, I got to know him through that, who was in in an action thriller. And I talked to him in the Change interview series, because he became an actor relatively late in life. And when now someone comes from this action thriller, which had some very high profile actresses in it as lead actresses, and finds him fun and checks him out, and now wants to know more about him as a person. That's the thing that usually happens when people go to IMDb to check out actors. They want to know more about them as people. Then they go to the self section, the section where they haven't appeared in a role, but as themselves, and they will find my series. And then they will find other people who have been in my series. And some of these people have been in other podcasts. So, I mean, this is a TV series, but they have been in podcasts or in other shows. Mm-hmm. So that's a way of discovering more podcasts if you are interested in that. And it's a way of also making your podcast more visible. And because you can also add links to not only the podcast page, the main page, but to each episode, you can add links to your episodes. And you can link to various platforms also, not just one link. You can put a lot of links in there. Because of that, it's also for someone who has a podcast, it's interesting, because that can drive more traffic, because that are backlinks, that are quality backlinks. And Google search engine still in 2024 likes it when you have quality backlinks on your stuff. So you will rank higher there. Also, IMDb has introduced the option to go to a podcast page and essentially filter the database for podcasts specifically. So that is, I think it's currently it's very general. So there are all sorts of podcasts up there. Maybe once this is built more and we have more podcasts on IMDb, then maybe we can filter more precisely. But that's also a way to explore interesting podcasts that you don't know yet. So I think that's a really great thing. And my idea is, if we can get more people who have conscious podcasts to put their podcasts up there, then over time this will build a network, because it's very common that people who have an interest in conscious podcasts and want to speak to an audience who listens to conscious podcasts, to get on more than one. So I think there's always going to be more connections between podcasts on this database. And actually the value is that it is really central and huge, and essentially one place where if we feed it all into there, then we can generate a much bigger impact. And for people who just want to learn it, I'm currently thinking about putting together a video course. So then that will be possible just to purchase the video course and then go through all the steps. And I'm not sure. I was thinking about making it a live webinar that people for a very low a very low fee could join and then see how to do it step by step and ask me questions, and then I can repurpose that to just as a video course for everyone. But I'm not sure, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so probably I won't use what I'm doing live. I will re-record it anyway. But what I'm definitely going to do is to look for people who would like to have their podcast, their main podcast page, or one or two new episodes set up for free for them. Because I then use that for the video course, and that's actually a value for the main page. It's a value of 77 euros, so that's a little bit more in US dollars, and that will also mean that when their podcast pages are set up in the video course, that everyone who is going to do the video course will see their podcast. So that's something that I have currently on offer for people who are interested, because I think I will need 2 or 3 podcasts to do that, to do the full setup, to play through all the possibilities, because there are several things that people need to know how to navigate if it happens, because it depends on who is in the episode. Does the person has a profile already or not? Is it difficult to find out which profile it is, and all that sort of things? And it also depends on how many seasons, how many years do we have in the podcast, how many episodes do we have, how many seasons do we want to create, and all that, or have we created. So I think I will need about 3 podcasts to get that video course set up properly. And then obviously, if there are people who have a podcast and want it up there, but really don't want to, sift through how this platform operates, this database, and don't want to go through, several times of drop-down pages and rechecks and whatever to get their things up there. I also have a done-for-you service for those who have a budget for that, for those who say, okay, I want it up there. I see that's a good idea. And I would like to be part of this network, but I really don't have the nerves for doing that myself. But I have a little bit of money to invest for someone else doing it for me. And obviously, I'm still setting that up, but obviously there will also be an affiliate option. So people who refer that service or the course then to someone who may need it or may want it, then they can get an affiliate commission too. But I think that's really something that can help, make this sort of podcast, these conscious podcasts, and there are so many, and they are beautiful, and they have so interesting, such interesting interviews and topics and messages to share, and that can make them more visible. And actually, it's really easy if you just want to go ahead and do it yourself. It's really easy to just sign up to IMDb. You need an email address and a password, and that's it. Or at least that used to be. I mean, I haven't made a new account for a while, but I think it's still the same. You just make that and you have an account, and then you can publish material you can upload just with that account. You can enter things. And the only thing you have to keep in mind when you enter something on IMDb is if it is accurate, correct information, accurate information, and you enter it, and IMDb approves of it and publishes it, they likely won't take it down ever. So just as an example, if someone wants more information on their profile page, and they think, oh, it would be nice to have my marriage up there, and put their husband's name, and then later decide, oh, no, I actually really don't want my husband's name up there, then it will be really hard to remove that, unless you can prove that this is just false information, that's just not correct. I mean, if you divorce, you can enter that. So now you are divorced, but the name will still stay up. So this sort of information, which you may at a later point in life decide you don't want to have published on IMDb, and it is not published somewhere else on the web, I wouldn't put that up. So that's a caveat. And you also have to know that obviously everyone can make an account on IMDb, and everyone can contribute, because they have a really smart business model. So they have a lot of free helpers who put up information without them having to pay them. So that means you have to check your page sometimes and see if you are not very popular and very famous, it's not very likely that a lot of people will go along and check your stuff and put in information or remove information or whatever. But it's always good to check that and to see if everything is all right, because it's a little bit, it has some aspects like Wikipedia, which is a community effort. So it can happen that someone else messes with your page, and you just have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, I think it's a really great opportunity to become visible. And if you're interested in that and want to know more, you can just contact me. If you want to go ahead and test it for yourself, just don't put in any information you don't want to see published at a later point. And but you can go ahead and enter it and do it all. And yeah, I think this way we could really make an impact. I think many people haven't noticed yet and realized yet that they can have an entry there, and what the benefits are and the advantages are. So I wanted to share that. And everyone who wants to find more podcasts, a couple of conscious podcasts are already up there. Also some podcasts on horses and things like that. I think that's also interesting for your listeners who love the animals and farm life and all that. I've seen that because I've seen that Lydia was on a lot of podcasts, and some of them are actually on IMDb. And I've found that when I search her name to just enter her name page on the podcast. So some people are up there. They have the podcast, so you can find the podcast, but they haven't yet found out how to do it in a way that it yields best benefits, because they often don't add the people they have in their episodes.
Oh my goodness. That is good information for people that are looking for different ways to get exposure to their podcast and get it out for more listeners. Now, one question I have is, how do the listeners find this? Can they just Google in International Movie Database, or is there
Yes.
a website they can go to, or how do they locate that to be able to get more information and to look into it more?
They can obviously Google International Movie Database or just IMDb. That's just the initial letters. International IM movie D database and B base database. So it's IMDb, and they will immediately have it on top of the search results, or they can directly go to imdb.com.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And that's the database. And also, I think I forgot to mention that also having your stuff listed there, your show or whatever else you have that is suitable for IMDb, is completely free. So that doesn't cost anything. It's just if you want someone to do it for you, obviously you will have to pay for the service.
Right. But to just do it themselves, it's just a free website, kind of, to find another place.
It's a database that is free to enter information and that is free to browse and to use. The only thing that you need to pay for is when you need an IMDb Pro Premium account, and that is really for people who either really want their photo on their profile page, which that's something you only get when you pay for it.
Yeah.
You can enter all sorts of information on your profile, but if you want to have a photo and you are not in a film or something, whose producers have entered a photo of you, then you will have to pay. Or if you are really in the entertainment industry and for example, you want to enter something that is in development or in production that hasn't been published yet. For example, I have this wonderful high fantasy TV series in development, which we have talked about in our previous interview. And in order to enter that on IMDb, I had to get the subscription for IMDb Pro Premium, because that is not published yet. It's still being developed. Right. And if you want to enter that sort of thing, then you have to have the paid subscription. But for everything else, adding information, browsing information, checking things out, all that is free. They have a little bit of ads running on the platform, but that's it. And having simply having a user account is also free.
Okay. Oh, great information, Susanna. Great information. Well, this show has gone very quickly, like I knew it would. It's been very informative for our listeners. And a couple things, would you please, before we close this show, share with our listeners the best ways to connect with you?
Yes. Probably the best way to find me is to enter Dr. Susanne Kurz in Google, in the Google search, because you will find my company site on Google and a link to my website. My website is Susanne Kurz -coaching.de. It's a little bit long because I have a very popular name. It's in Germany, so the Susanne Kurz domain was already gone. So it's Susanne Kurz in one word and then -coaching.de. And you can also find me on YouTube as Dr. Susanne Kurz, or if you just search for Susanne Kurz Coaching. I think even if you just search for Susanne Kurz on YouTube, you will find my channel really easily.
Awesome.
It's a bilingual channel. Same, my website has a lot of German pages, but I've also added English pages for the offers and stuff. And then you can find me on Facebook, Susanne Kurz Coaching, on Instagram, Dr. Susanne Kurz. So essentially, you can check Susanne Kurz Coaching or Dr. Susanne Kurz, and in both both ways you can find me.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. And then I would also like to ask if in the future you will come back on and share more knowledge that you have inside of you to our listeners on the Robust Lifestyle Show.
Oh, for sure. I love, it's always
Awesome.
Such a joy to connect with you and to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way, Susanna. And I want to wish you a very, very magical day and magical times till you and I connect again on Robust Lifestyle Show.
Thank you for having me, Joyce.
Oh, thank you so much. With that, listeners, I would like to wish each of you a very, very magical day. And I want to thank each of you for listening to this magical show with our incredible diva, Susanna Kurz. Please share this show with all your family and friends. Check out all the other shows and with all the other hosts on divasthatcare.com. And remember what she talked about today on building a network of conscious podcasts. Just Google International Movie Database or IMDb, and you will find the information. And remember, Susanna is there to help you with whatever you need to make this connection and to get your podcasts out for more listeners around this universe to listen to. And remember, be kind to all, including your animals. Give your animals a great big extra hug and share all your love with them. And until we connect again on Robust Lifestyles, stay strong and healthy.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.